Hey, how's everybody doing today? We're looking at what I think is the first, it's a F2000 Kubota. First model, F-Series model that Kubota came out with. It's a liquid-cooled diesel engine, hydrostatic drive, high-low range transmission, mechanical four-wheel drive. Really, really nice tractor. I'm a big fan of these. I don't have a 2000. I have a 2100. I have a 2400. I have two of those, and I have three F3060s, which I've got two of them parked beside each other right now. I've got an F2400 we use in the winter, and I've got an F3060 set up also for winter. And we'll go look at them. We'll talk about them a little bit. I'll tell you what I use them for. I'll tell you what I like and don't like about each model. And maybe we'll even talk about fuel consumption and how long of a working life these tractors have. Keep in mind, both of my machines are old, but well, let's go look at them. It's the F2400. We've had it since I think we bought it in 1996, and it had, I can't remember now, I'm going to guess around 600 hours on it. This one has 5,000 hours now, so that gives you an idea of the longevity. That's 22 years of use. It cut grass the first 15 years we've had it. The last 7, 8, 10, closer to 10 years, we haven't used it on grass at all, really. So here's the engine, and the radiator's at the back, but the newer models, they did a complete 180 with the motor. The radiator's at the front, fuel tank is underneath the fender up here where there's lots of room. We'll see that in a few minutes. The F2400 is a 24 horsepower, 3-cylinder liquid-cooled diesel. There's the injector pump. There's the primary fuel pump. Down here is the filter. I'm going to be changing that soon. There's the hydraulic pump that powers the power steering, the lift for the Mordeck or whatever other attachment you've got, and it gives you your hydraulic auxiliary controls. Nice metal air filter, transmission cooler, and there's a little water pump there. The motor is the size of my lunchbox. The gauges are over here on the right side fender, which is not a really great location, but I've gotten used to it. 5,188 hours. Got your temperature gauge and fuel gauge, light switch, warning lights right there, just 3. And then your key, your start. Over here, this lever here is your PTO. So you've got 1100 RPM, 2500 RPM back here, and in the middle is neutral. This lever here is like a cruise control. Kind of dangerous. If you're driving straight forward for a long time, you can engage this. You've got 2 hydraulic aftermarket levers right here plumbed into the system. There's your foot pedal. Not the greatest design. Forward and reverse. Remember, there's 5,000 hours on this thing. There's your brake control for both wheels. And you can see over here, I'm kind of pushing on it, you can see the 2 individual pedals. There's your left and right wheel control over here. So you can, when you're turning, you can turn pretty sharp when you use those pedals. There's your clutch, tilt steering for the handy to have. There's your brake lock. You can lock the brake. And back here, we forgot to look at this. There's your throttle. Kind of in a weird position. I've gotten used to where this is. I have no problem where this is. On this side, you've got a high-low transmission right here, neutral and high-low range for your drive. And then back here is your 4-wheel drive, 2-wheel drive lever, which is in a great position. It's big, beefy, easy to find handle when you're reaching in the dark. Okay, we're going to compare all those controls and levers and things to this F3060, which is, keep in mind, this is 20 years old, this one. So here's the engine. You can see the radiators up near the driver. The operator's seat's right in there. That's the cab. So they've done a complete 180. This engine's turned around on the between the previous model and this model. 4-cylinder, liquid cooled, big motor. Alternator, huge muffler. There's your flywheel. On the older model, I had a mechanical clutch against that. There's the ring gear. You can see that the starter drives. So the starter's at the back on the other side. Hydraulic pump, power everything. Your power steering again and all your auxiliary controls. Injector pump. You can see 4 lines coming out, so that's a 4-cylinder. Fuel filter, which these need to be changed as well. That's part of the reason why I'm doing this video. I'm looking this thing over. And then, oh, you know, I keep forgetting to mention, it does have power steering, which is, to me, is a must. If you're on this thing 8 hours a day, both of them have very similar, comparable power steering. There's a cylinder that steers the rear steering axle. So there's your transmission cooler, these metal lines that just kind of snake their way up and down, and then in there a little deeper you've got your transmission. There's the transmission filter. So here's the interior of the F3060. You got your heater box, which is not a great location, but that's, Kubota don't build a cab for this. There's the lights, controls for the lights. Throttle control up on the column, which is nice. Temperature gauge, really important to see in a great place. That's where it should be on the other one. You got your hours meter down there. Nice to have it up there, but not warning lights. Key, good spot, but again doesn't need to be there. I like having it there. Tilt steering again right here. You know, if you got long legs, getting on and off these machines all day long, you really have to have tilt. And then over here you've got the 2 Kubota controls. These are right straight from Kubota. It's an aftermarket part you buy to put on there. So that controls, well, one of these is set up with the plow on the front. We'll show you that in a minute. And the other one's the salter for the back, hydraulic powered salter. High-low range, very similar to the F2400. It's on the other side of the seat, right side instead of left. And here you got what the biggest change on these machines. You've got a hydraulic clutch, no more mechanical, and 1-speed PTO, just on or off, simple. I think it's probably better in a lot of ways. There's your lift and lower for your attachment on the front. You've got the pedal for the forward and reverse. I really don't like this design. I like the John Deere control. Well, that covers a lot of what's in here. So big differences, we'll go over those on these 2 tractors is the and you know, the F3060 is not a lot different from the newer ones. The models they sell today, they don't make the same engine. They have a tier 4 engine, I believe, now. Few little differences, but all in all pretty much the same. Big differences, PTO clutch, 2 speeds, PTO and the clutch, I should say. Mechanical clutch versus hydraulic clutch. I think the hydraulic clutch is an improvement, because if you've got an employee that can't remember what speed he's supposed to run his attachment at, you know, on or off with this model here. Whereas the F2400, you have to know what speed to run your attachment at. And the mechanical clutch gave us a little bit of trouble. Makes a bit of noise. I think the throwout bearing may be wearing out on the other F2400 we have. But this one's always worked great. Touch wood. Other differences. You know what the big difference that I think is missing in the new models? These left and right wheel brakes. You know, we don't think those are important, but if you're cutting grass and using them on snow removal as well, you can turn on a dime with these brakes, and it became an option on the later models, the F3060. The 3 we have, one of them has that option. If I go back in time, I would have bought the option for the other 2 tractors. I think it's around a $300 option, worth every penny. So on this 3060, it became an option to have those left and right wheel brakes, and that's where they go. So if you did have them, there would be a room for them in the aftermarket cab. There would be a spot for them to come up. They come out outside the floorboard there, which is nice. I don't think I mentioned the brake pedal over here. This is the brake pedal, and that's what locks the brake when you have the pedal down. And there's a little headlight in front. It's kind of nice. So this one's set up with a little plow. This little plow can be used for landscaping. We use it for snow, and it's amazing on snow. It's built like a tank. I think that's all made out of 1/4-inch steel. So it's really, really tough. You can't really, I don't think you can break this plow. And then it comes off. This quick attach system goes on to hold a snowblower or a plower, and there's other attachments for it. And the mower deck pins into these locations. That's kind of like a 2-point hitch, almost like a 3-point hitch, but there's only 2 pivot points. Over here usually we have a snowblower on this tractor in the winter. Right now it's got set up with the forklift to it was used the last time to put away salt boxes in April, May, and the only thing I do with it in the summer is start it, drive it around a bit, make sure everything's working. So the 3060's also set up with a salter on the back. It's hydrostatic, hydraulic little salter, drop salter. So there's a steel pipe that runs at the length of the bottom with little bars welded on, and as it rotates it drops sand, salt, pea stone, whatever you put in there. It's really nice. This is a really, really good setup for walkways, and I've got quite a bit of walkway I do with this. You know, I'm looking at that. I'm just throwing in this little bit of video because these 2 pedals are farm tractor setup. So you've got a mechanical transmission and the throttle's over here, which you can control the throttle up on the column. You can actually use your foot on these left and right wheel brakes, and there's your clutch on this side. So the Kubota is set up on the picture in the manual. Let's go look at that. So here's the manual that I have, repair manual, and up here it looks like the left and right wheel brake pedals are on this side, not like the F2400 we just looked at. They're down here on the floor below the clutch pedal. And you see there's the John Deere control pedals, which they kind of got in trouble for that. And I can't see any other differences. Of course the engine is 20 horsepower. I think they only had 3 models of this type tractor. It was an F2000, F2100, and an F2400. And this was the one that made their name. Was really, really well engineered. We're going to look at a few more things. I've got the rear axle I want to show you, the front differential, and the heart and soul of the whole machine's down underneath the seat here. The transmission, hydrostatic. So hang in there till the end. So just really briefly, I just want to cover the clutch. There's that. And there's the bell housing. We could see the outside of that. Expensive to build. I can see why they eliminated that. They're just trying to reduce their costs, because everyone I talk to all say the same thing. They say, oh, you know, Kubota, ooh, really pricey. So that's part of the reason at first anyway. That's why. Okay, well here is the heart and soul of the whole machine, and this is a really simplified photograph drawing. So there's your swash plate, and this would be the pump, and the other one's a motor. They're identical. So each of these, we're going to look at more pictures. This is a really, really basic, simplified version of how it works. So there's a connecting line. One pumps oil to the other. This one drives the machine. So coming out here would be your the drive shaft to the transmission. And we'll look at some more. This is what it really looks like. I think there's 9 little hydraulic cylinders in each of these. So one pump is driven right off the motor, output shaft to the diesel engine. And here this shaft would continue and power the transmission. So, okay, here's a really good photo of how it works. So there you got your, this is rotating. As the swash plate changes angle, it allows these little cylinders to pump more or less. If it's perfectly straight, there's no fluid being pumped, and that's your neutral position. And the more of an angle, there's the lever. That's what you see outside the casing. And the more angled it is, the more fluid's being pumped. So forward, reverse. Cool, eh? Here's another picture again, and there's your little that little hydraulic pump we see below the injector pump, and there's your hydraulic control valve. So all the oil that would be sent different directions for implements or attachments. Here's your transmission case. So all the oil running through the transmission, I should say, and this pump over here all come from the same place. One holding tank, which is the casing for the hydrostatic transmission. Okay, here's some actual photographs of the transmission. And up here you can count the little cylinders on this one. And it looks like about 9 there. 9, yep. So there's the heart and soul. That's the reason why, well, I think a lot of machines today have really good hydraulic pumps. So transmissions. So here's another reason why this tractor is, you know, to me it's head and shoulders above a lot of models. So you've got your drive differential right here. Right in here would be your spider gears. And then you've got there's a little small gear here that drives a big bull gear. The bull gear drives the axle for the wheels. So the wheels would be out here, and here. And in here is the reason why I like this design so much. My backhoe is actually the same kind of setup right here. So out here is your brakes. Your left and right brakes are on each individual the front shaft here, which is kind of a straight through here. Okay, so here is the steering end of the tractor, the rear smaller axle. So differential and these two gearbox. There's like a gearbox on each end. This is the other reason why this tractor I think is like pretty well built. It's pretty beefy. So if you pull that gearbox off the end, this is where it attaches to the axle. The differential would be here on this end here. So it's laying sideways. The actual where the wheel goes on is facing down right now, and there's a little access point here to well, we'll go over the gears in here, how this whole thing works. There's no universal joints, there's no CV joints. It's all gears and bearings in here to drive those wheels. Here's another picture of that large gear is what is directly attached. There's where the wheel goes on. So we're going to go to the L2850 manual because there's no really good picture of how this whole mechanism works. Alright, so that's coming in from your differential over here. That's driving a small gear right here and a bearing. Second gear here, another bearing. Shaft comes down, drives this lower gear, this another really small gear. Another bearing. Two bearings here, that's your pivot for turning. And then the large gear we just looked at, it's attached right to the wheel. So bearing, large gear, and this is all oil reservoir. So in the L2850, this is all one compartment of oil. The filler cap would be over here, just one filler cap for all three compartments. And 80W90 gear oil. Probably the newer models could be possibly synthetic, I don't know, gear oil. The F2400s, there's a seal here somewhere. So each outboard gearbox has got its own little filler cap, and you got to check the oil in all three compartments, your differential in the middle and your two outboard gearboxes here. But I think this is one of the design features on that F-Series Kubota that is head and shoulders above almost anything else. So it's expensive to fix, but you know, when it's working and it's working right, it's really, really, really good design. The pivot point down here, this pivot point is a huge gear meshing with this small gear, and it's got really, really sharp turning radius. As well, no U joints to change, no CV joints to change. You've got a huge clearance here because there's the bottom of your rear end and there's the center of your wheel, so lots of clearance. And all three models that we have 4 different models. We have an L2850, which is this design right here. It's the best picture I could find. We have an M5700, very similar to this, bigger obviously. The M series are the biggest tractors Kubota make right now. And we have the 2 F series, the 2400 and the 3060, and they all have this type of steering. I'm really, really happy with these F series tractors. I'd buy another one in a heartbeat. Mainly because I can use them for quite a few different jobs. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video.